Welcome to the Sixtown Regional Planning Board meeting being held this Tuesday, April 29th. This is a remote meeting. It's an all remote meeting. We have a quorum of the planning board. Roll call vote. We have Deb Loomer present. Yeah, thank you. I'm present. Alan Genovese, Greg Snedeker,
Here.
Dorinda Bella,
Here.
Pat Shearer,
Here.
Bill Toom,
Yes.
Michelle Garuso,
Yes.
and David.
Yeah.
From Warwick. Thank you, David. All right, so we're fortunate that the government has extended things so we can continue to meet remotely. Given the diversity of our geographic location, this is very helpful to us. We had on the agenda the October 29th minutes and the March 26th. We're thinking that the October 29th may they were sent out. We're trying to remember if we actually had a vote on those. So
It's
they're on here
October-
as a placeholder, and Greg's going to send them out again.
Yeah, those
And-
are October 29th, Alan. 29th, not 26th.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, 29th. And then the March one will be coming out.
Did you read the disclaimer for we have to kind of start with that.
Yeah, go ahead. So this meeting is being recorded. And
Yeah, go ahead. No, you go ahead because I don't have it in front of me.
No. All right, this meeting is being recorded and is fully remote. Therefore, if all votes will be taken by roll call vote in the event that there are technical difficulties that prohibit the public from attending or from participating or attending, the meeting will pause and these difficulties will be resolved and the meeting will continue. If these difficulties are not resolved, the meeting will end and be postponed to another date. And so with that said, there's a number of quick little updates going to communication. The first two sort of go together. I'm going to start with B, based on information I had today. So that's Russell. Russell has been playing tag with the Ethics Commission, finally got in touch with them, and then his own attorney board. And after a lot of discussion, it was their advice to Russell that for him to move forward, he need to get a special town status from each of the 6 towns in order to go forward. So Russell and I talked some more, and he pointed out that he's worked with Steve and Jay a number of times on these, and he felt, although, you know, it's good to have an attorney if we choose to go forward, it's not necessary particularly at this point. And he was very comfortable with Jay and Steve bringing it forward to DESI with their legal counsel, have them review it, see what they had to say, making sure that it met all the state regulations, or state laws and regulations for DESI, and then get that document back. And then we could decide if we wanted to have an attorney do a further review at that point. So, so that sort of made sense to me, and if it makes sense to you, then I think I would like you to vote to move this forward to DESI to have them do their review.
Yeah.
Going along with that, wait a minute, going along with that, I had a conversation with Jay, and Jay said that he's very comfortable doing that as well. He knows the people there, they've done a number of them with him, and so he he's fine with moving that forward. And I let him know that I was going to ask the board to take a vote on that this evening. Greg?
Yeah, no, I actually like that idea. I mean, it seems like kind of redundant if we were asking Russell to do something that DESI is going to do anyway, and run it by their attorneys. So it seems to me that when we get it back, we can, if it needs more or further review, then we can do it then. But it does seem kind of redundant to do it before and then have it go to DESI and then come back
Okay.
and possibly do it again. So.
All right, so and I also see that Raina Destres has joined us. Hi, Raina. Thank you for coming on board. So do you want to have a discussion on that, or someone want to make a motion so we move that forward?
I'll make a motion to move forward with sending it to DESI for their legal review.
I'll
Second.
second it.
Okay, motion and seconded. Any other discussion? All right, I'll start with Dorinda. Roll call vote. Dorinda
Yes.
and Greg
Yes.
and Alan Genovese is yes. Deb Bloomer,
Yes.
Pat Shearer,
Yes.
Bill Toom,
Yes.
Michelle Girusso,
Yes.
Raina Destros,
Yes.
and David.
Yes.
And so, okay, so that's, those two went together. I'll let him know tomorrow to move that forward and let's see, we'll wait for that response back. The, town meeting response to the annual town meeting. I did meet with Northfield Board of Selectmen. They had some good questions. They were going to review it with their town moderator. I was under the impression that probably it would, be permissible for the this 2.5 minute script that we have, just giving people a heads up. It's not an issue at Warwick, so we'll be doing that. Greg will be doing that at Gill. Dorender is handling that at Montague. Michelle, help me here. We have you and I had talked, and was it Leiden has put it in their newsletter? Is that correct?
Yes.
And do you know if Leiden so that's the handout that giving them information, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
But it's not the update. Is that correct? That is being read by members.
Hold on. If you want to talk to someone else,
Yeah.
I do
Well-
have the new newsletter. It just came out yesterday.
Okay.
Let me
So-
look in my email.
Yeah, and I was also going to ask you about Berniston.
I don't know anything about Bernardston.
All right. I believe I sent before vacation, I sent something out to Catherine and I don't know if I've.
Yes,
I don't
you
think
did
I've received
send
a
it
response.
to Catherine.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm looking at Leiden Live.
Yeah, and while you're doing that, I want to note that Deborah Pote has joined us and Deb, I met with the Northfield and we're waiting to see. And we took a vote to move the regional agreement onto DESI and see with Steve and Jay. And then when it comes back, we'll make a decision about further review, legal review. If we,
Yeah, I watched some of the school committee meeting where you were.
okay,
Okay,
Thank you.
what was put in was the 6-town regionalization planning board update, final steps before town meeting vote.
okay. And what about the handout that we sent to moderator and select board?
No, I don't see that in here. In
All
the
right.
in the newsletter is what I'm saying.
All right, so maybe
Now,
I
she could have sent it and they didn't publish it. I don't know.
yeah, so maybe we can talk later. I have no problem running some off and dropping them off so that at least they're available and people come in for the handout. All right,
Yeah, we have to have handouts. I'll just tell you. We have to
Yeah.
have planning board handouts for 3 articles. One is the big one, the ADUs. We have to have the FERCog charter handout. There's going to be a lot of handouts, plus the warrant articles, plus the budget.
can it just be left on the back table for people to look at?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what we do.
yeah,
with
okay,
Handouts.
all right, so I'll follow up with you later, okay?
All right.
And then so we're looking for
So
someone.
Alan, can I
Yeah.
just ask? So
Yeah.
if they don't get back to you, if Northfield doesn't get back to you, are you just gonna have the handouts available for people to look at?
My plan is that so we're talking two different things. The handout will go to Northfield no matter what
Okay, good.
for their people. I think they said like 150 would be good. And then the only thing we're waiting on is you have the script, and you might even ask the town moderator when you're there to say, will you give me an opportunity to read this, but hopefully I'll have that answer for you before.
Right, because hopefully they'll have been asked already by the chair, right?
Right, the select board chair was going to talk to the moderator before I went on vacation, so over a week ago. So they
Right.
should have some answer. So I'll try to follow that with the town administrator tomorrow.
Yeah, I think I really hope it happens because I think people are starting to be confused by different proposals happening and as if we're in competition and all it is news.
Right, and it's unfortunate that, and people that didn't watch it don't know what I'm talking about. It was fortunate that a member seemed to be making it a political issue when it's not. So I'll leave it at that. Who, so we're missing. So who have we not assigned something to? Michelle, would you be able to, if they tell you could read the script, or are you saying that?
Yes, Catherine or I had decided that,
Okay.
if
Yeah.
the moderator, I think they're meeting with moderator on May 12th.
Okay. All right.
So it really is up to him
Right.
also
Right.
to
All
decide
right. So
if he's gonna allow it.
yeah, so you have the most time because your meeting isn't until June.
Right.
So, so the only one that's up that I guess I'll have to figure out is Berniston.
Yeah, theirs is May 17th.
Okay. That gives me a little time to figure that out. All right, so I think that covers that, and people have the final script. And then I don't know if that covered this the last meeting, but Joanne Blyer and being who we run the grant through in the Gil-Montague Regional School District, and I had reached out to Sean Cronin from the Department of Revenue, and they have, or he has determined that we have quite a bit of leeway in terms of how we use the grant. We could use it for reaching out to people. We've already used it, for legal, for consultants. So he has given us permission to extend that grant to December, through December. So that was really good news. And I think we have around, at the moment, we have around $46,000 left in there. And I'm thinking that should be able to cover the additional tasks that we have in front of us. I think we've covered the volunteer, the name sharing. We're there already. So, Deb, you could be a tag team and decide how you want to review the process and names and
Hey, Alan,
final recommendations.
Alan,
Yes,
before we go there, just wanted to comment on the Northfield meeting. That did you get back to them? Because there was a question that was about the purchase of assets, and I don't think they understood that when a school district is dissolved and the two go into one larger district, that it's just a transfer of assets. There's no millions of dollars that have to be come up with. I mean, we're required by the state of Massachusetts to provide an education, so it would be a transfer of assets.
yes,
Did
and
you
I
get back to
answered
them on
that.
that?
No, I didn't have to get back to him that because I had answered the question. I said,
Well, you did, but you kind of were like, you were a little bit sort of, on the fence about it. You're like, well, I don't really want to, it's a transfer of assets, but, I just want to make sure that they understand that.
well, I can follow it up. What
Okay.
I said at the meeting I thought was fairly clear, and that school committees don't have the authority to dissolve and they don't have the authority to transfer property and assets. that has to be done through an act of legislation, and that there is not, it's a transfer of these assets. It's not, there's no big millions of dollars that need to be saved up in order to buy things. It's not a sale. So I can follow up with Andrea to see if they're clear on that.
Thanks.
All right. So Deb.
Hey, Deb,
Well,
you want to go first?
I was going to say, well, since I bailed on Deb the last meeting because I was camping with no internet, I figure I should take the lead. In any case, I think Deb spoke to you the last time. I recontacted all the people to make sure that all their suggestions were in. Deb wrote a really nice article for the Greenfield Recorder, asking people to contact us if they had any suggestions. And I'm thinking I had around 10. I don't have the exact number. So we had some suggestions. We asked people to put forward their favorites. And as we met, we had, I believe it was 51 options. And I think you got a list of those. And they were decided by a variety of people. I think, Bill, you had a question as to whether or not the students at Turner's Falls were involved. And Beth Fortin, who was the advisor for the student council, met with them a couple of times, and they came up with their suggestions. So they were definitely consulted in that. In any case, you saw the names that were the variety of them. There seemed to be a common thread, and the common thread through a lot of them was the word river. And so even the people who said, I don't know what I want it called, but it ought to have the name river in it, because and there were more than a couple people who said that. And so we took that to heart. The one suggestion is the Great River. Someone talked about that was what the indigenous people called it. It was called the Great River, which is how that was put forth. And we thought that was interesting, paying honor, homage, or whatever to the indigenous people of the area. And of course, obviously, the next one was Connecticut River. And then it had all sorts of variations, you know, Connecticut River Valley, Connecticut, just plain Connecticut River. How many words did you want the name of the school district to be? And so that's where we're at.
So these last, the ones that we saw, River Bend Regional School District, Connecticut River Regional School District, Connecticut River Valley, Great River, and Great River Valley. Those are those like recommendations, or you're informing
no,
us that
those-
these are the ones that bubbled to the top?
These are the ones that Deb and I, and we talked about, you know, and people's suggestions. Those were the ones that bubbled to the top. You know, there were the negatives. Please don't go with just union number, whatever. So some people didn't have a suggestion, but they were sure what they didn't want it called. And we, as people talked, wanted to try to stay away from the word pioneer, because it would be associated with one school, even though we're in the upper Pioneer Valley. You know, there was discussion of Great Falls, but once again, that it is just a little bit too close to Gill and Montague, and not necessarily to Northfield and Bernardston. And could we come up with something? There was actually two different people suggested we take the first two letters of each of the districts. And to be honest with you, it just looked like a garble that we didn't think anybody could associate with. It was a good try. It was a good thought, but it didn't make sense to us.
And it was two different people. It was very
Yeah.
funny.
Yep. So that's kind of where we're at. Any thoughts on anything else you saw on the lists?
All right, Dorinda? You're on, you have your hand up.
Yeah, and
Um,
maybe we have a great name here. Maybe you guys can
Right.
come up with something better.
Yeah, I mean, in addition to river, it seemed like valley was common. I just did a quick search. River is 19 times, valley is 23 times. So, yeah, like River Valley or I think Franklin is non-controversial. I think River and Valley and Franklin are all non-controversial. North is uncontroversial, and just as long as we avoid anything that says Pioneer and Montague or the current names, I think it's more welcoming.
So,
Same with
go ahead, Bill.
Indian needs to be excluded too.
Right. We assumed that, I mean, that was kind of off the table even, but
So let's keep in mind, this is obviously not the name of the school, it's the name of the regional school district. And our Connecticut River is a very long river. Are people, what do you think about the, having that in the title, the Connecticut River Valley Regional School District? It
Yeah,
sounds nice, but,
Deb and I tossed out, did you
Okay.
want it to be the upper, I'm sorry, I didn't raise my hand. Did you want it to be the upper Connecticut River Valley? Which obviously would then designate we are as upper as it can get in Massachusetts.
My
Bill?
my preference was
Oh.
not that it maybe really matters, but I really just liked Great River. I just thought it's there's no other school named that.
Bill,
Yeah, I-
and then
oh,
Pat,
sorry.
and then somebody else to talk.
The thing with river itself is, I was thinking about it, noticing all the river stuff. And it's true that there is a river in each one of the towns. So you don't have to be explicit about which river it is, but there's the Falls River, the Deerfield, not the Deerfield, the Green, and of course the Connecticut. And then I think Northfield has a couple of brooks. So, as well as the Connecticut. I like that part of it rather than an allusion to Connecticut.
Pat? You're on mute, Pat. There we go.
All right.
Thank you.
That's what I was gonna say. Connecticut River is great for the Turters Falls area and for the Northfield area, but we've got other towns that are not on the Connecticut River. So yeah, I'm with you, Bill. Same concern.
All right. Michelle, was it your voice? I heard another
Yes,
voice.
I
Okay.
I was looking for how to raise my hand. Yeah, I agree. I would like to keep Connecticut out of it. I think that's going to be confusing. You're going to have the name Connecticut in Massachusetts. So
Right.
that
Right.
was just something I was thinking of.
All right. And then I think, Raina, I think you had a comment. Yes?
Yeah, I'm with you, Deb. I like Great River. I feel like it's a nod to the indigenous roots, but not in an offensive way. And I feel like there's no one particular river. I mean, it's the indigenous name for the Connecticut River, but it's a reference to the Connecticut River, but not specifically about the Connecticut River. So a little more inclusive.
Good discussion. So it sounds like we've eliminated Connecticut. We've settled on river sounds really good. We all know it's going to be the regional school district, so that was easy. So I think we're honing on either Great River or, well, we wouldn't say Upper Great. That was for Connecticut. So it looks like we're down to Raina, what you had said, the Great River Valley.
What about great rivers, plural? We got plenty of rivers.
Great Rivers Valley, you'd have to
Great
make a
Rivers,
possessive.
Great
wouldn't you?
Rivers Regional School District. I'm just looking at,
Yeah.
there is a Great Rivers School out there. I just looked it up. But there doesn't seem to be Great Rivers.
That's a school, not a district, correct?
Yeah. Just trying to be different, you
Where is that, Greg?
know? Looks like it's out in Minnesota.
Really?
Please.
They've got a great river out there.
Thank you for sharing.
I think rivers. I don't like Great Rivers. I just think Great River. I just think it. It can be any river that you want, whatever one you're feeling connected to. But I
All
think
right.
Great Rivers. It just reminds me too much of Four Rivers, which. No.
Good point. Good point, Deb.
Yeah. I
Um,
agree.
Do people want to nail this part down before this goes out to Desi? Because we do need a name and that put us on track. I'll defer to both Debs for a minute if you want to,
Yeah.
if there's no more discussion, if you want to make a recommendation or make a motion, then we could do a vote.
I feel very good about Great River.
Great River Valley,
No, the valley.
Great river.
I just
Great
think
River.
if
Okay.
people will be like, oh, that's like Pioneer Valley. I think you got to get rid of the valley. I just think Great River Regional School District.
All right. Is that, you want to make that a motion?
I make a motion, and I will say, Deb and I spend a lot of time, a lot of agonizing, very uncomfortable conversations with people, and writing letters to people who said, no, I don't want to play, I don't want to participate. That didn't feel really good without getting too specific. So I don't think we need to put this off. I think we are a well-informed committee who's done this for a long time, and I think we can make a decision.
So your motion is
And my
to,
motion is that we choose Great River Regional School District.
all right, is there a second?
I'll
Second.
second.
Okay, I think it was a tie between Pat and Michelle.
I like
Yeah,
the
Michelle and I are
enthusiasm.
racing.
Appreciate
That's good. All right, so I'll call, if there's no more discussion, call for a vote. Deb Bloomer. Oh, wait a minute. Bill, do you have a question?
I just
before-
want to, add in terms of rivers and Connecticut and all that. Leiden and Warwick are not in the valley.
So no valley.
No
Yes.
valley.
Great river.
Good point.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes,
Deb Bloomer, yes.
Yes.
Alan Genovese, yes. Greg,
Yes.
Dorinda,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Raina,
Yes.
Deb Potay,
Yep.
and okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for all the work you've done. I know you've worked on this for a long time. I think you started again like 6 months ago. And so thank you for all that outreach. So this, so we have a name and I can let Jay know to put that on that blank line for the Great River Regional School District. We did that. I love the discussion we had. Thank you. The website. So Dorinda, I'm hoping that you'll be one of our players in the outreach efforts, because much of the pieces that we'll be trying to do will be like getting QR codes to put in different locations, and we can have people do that, a link to the agreement and things like that, so we could brainstorm. And there'll be other venues, but all the brainstorming that involve technology, we'd love to have you, take the lead on that and share your ideas of the best way to do it. So if you agree, please say yes, you'll serve on our outreach committee.
Yeah, and I think it's, since the website's easy, since it's just, the number 6towns.org, that we could just put up pieces of paper that say that, and then as soon as we get the regional agreement through DESI, then we can put that up there. I don't know if we'd want to put it up before then, probably not.
No.
So, yeah, so, and we could sort of put it front and center. But I think since the website's so easy, we don't need to mess with QR codes necessarily, unless we wanted to add like the regional agreement specifically as a QR code later,
Mhm,
but we can
mhm.
just have it front and center on the website.
All right. And I'd like to share with you that that you received some kudos at the Northfield Select Board meeting, that it was brought to the attention by one member that they really liked the update version of the website. They thought it was really well done, easy to, find things. And so all the hard work that you've done in working with a consultant yourself has really it's being recognized. So that's really good as we go into this next stage. So thank you for that.
Good to hear.
Yeah. So this is probably why some people are missing. So I'm looking for folks to be involved in think tank conversations about how to proceed. I'm looking at, the money that may be available to maybe hire a professional to take care of some of these things with some forums. So a lot of things are, the ideas of that we want to put out there to give people a heads up at town meeting of what to be looking for. So as long as they know that things are coming, then we can do newspaper articles and things to bring things to their attention. So obviously, I am going to be on that. And Dorinda, thank you. I'm nodding your head is helpful. Are there other folks, please, that could help out in that? Pat, would you have any interest in Northfield, or just talk about ideas?
I would say yes, but in 2 weeks, my husband's having hip surgery.
Oh,
And then right after that, we have a family wedding. And then 2 months after that, we have another family wedding, all at our house. So
all right.
this is going to be busy time. Sorry.
Understood. No, understood. Understood. Deb Pote?
I was gonna say, only if Greg sends me a reminder the day of, because it's in one ear and out the other and written down, can't find the piece of paper.
Okay.
Camping was easier.
I think he was talking to me, Deb.
Yeah.
No,
well,
well, I had raised my hand and then
I'm
I
sorry.
couldn't find my mute, and right when I hit mute, he said Deb Potee, and I was like,
No, thank you. Thank you. So I've
But
written your
Deb,
name down.
but Deb, you go right ahead, because I know you
I hope
want
so.
just one, and
I just feel like everyone in Northfield just hates me. It's just like, ugh, sick of seeing me. But about this topic, what do I have to do? Do I have to speak?
No, well, part of that's going to be organizational, things in terms of brainstorming, how we go about, in our outreach efforts. It may be some boots on the grounds, bringing flyers or bringing some things around, or I don't know, because we haven't brainstormed yet, in terms of conversations with, if we are able to get a consultant to be involved in some things. I mean, for example, we know that we want to do a really clear and accurate PowerPoint, and it's clear and concise and hits all the main points. So what needs to be in that? Reviewing the Berkshire Hills one and maybe some others, and looking at some of the things that we had in our own that we thought were really good and picking from there and so forth. So a lot of that's going to be
I'm
thinking.
happy to be helpful and do some things. I do not want to be in charge of creating a PowerPoint.
Right.
I feel like I've done a ton of writing and stuff on this, and I just don't want to do that anymore. But I am happy to front face stuff.
Okay. And
We've been
Bill,
on
you
Zoom
could
for a
certainly,
long time.
yeah, Bill, you could certainly volunteer to proofread different documents and get some input there.
I'm happy to read anything you want to produce.
All right. All right, so I'll leave it at that for now. And if you think, so here's sort of an ask that I have for you. I'd like you to think of some folks that you may know in the community that that you could talk to and see if they have an interest or, you know, or excited about being involved in, you know, sharing the work that we've done to date.
Alan,
And then sending that
sorry.
on to Greg. Yes, Deb.
I didn't mean to interrupt. I think that's where Deb and I are probably looking at each other and saying, we went through the community people. I went to some key people who I thought knew the community, and they were like, no, no,
Yep.
no. And so that doesn't mean it's a no vote. For instance, if you were to say some of those people were, oh, this is a great idea, but no, you know, well, I ask a couple people, can you just ask, like, you know, like, do you think you could get to 6 people? Yeah, I'll try. And so your expectation of having local people be a part of that, I don't know. I know I went through a variety of people that I knew in both towns, and it didn't go anywhere.
And
Maybe
I
I
think,
didn't know the right people.
no, and
But-
I think I can understand some of the reason behind that. So if you put that out to everybody, if you have an idea of who has an expertise in this area and might be helpful, then please let Greg know. All right.
I do think if it's heard at a town meeting, I think people might be kind of like excited about it. You know, I just think people either think it's a done deal, it's going to happen, or it's already not going to happen. I think people are just very not clear, or there's another plan that's happening. So I maybe at the town meeting, if people come up to me, if I get a chance to read that, I think then those are people I could ask if they want to learn more about it and maybe get excited about it. I don't think of any other way of getting people like jazzed about this unless they really see this as a wonderful opportunity for students. You know?
Yep. All right, thank you. And that was a really good comment, because town meeting does create an avenue of a person that they could go to. And then that's an opportunity for you to see if there's a door open to invite them into this part of the process. So I put that out to everybody that's at town meeting, that you know, if people have questions, you know, make it known that you might be able to fill them in. I think a lot of this is lack of information, or some
Mhm.
misinformation, or even some confusion as to, you know, what's going on. And it gets really even more confusing when we start not knowing what's happening at the federal level and the state level and the town level, and what grants are going away and what funding the towns may or may not have. This is I'm sure every generation has said this is a very difficult time in politics, or in, you know, in the finances, but it is. So I think that's all going to be part of this picture as we go forward and wait to see how things settle out. Even with the state budget, you know, it's up in the air. So. All right, thank you for those that said yes, and that's a great suggestion, Deb, in terms of having that door open, and everyone can do that at the town meeting.
Alan, I've had my hand up.
Oh, why haven't I seen? Where are you?
I
Oh,
don't
there
know.
you are. Okay. Yeah.
What about, we talked about the consultant. I think we need to get an outside person who's been through this or something similar, and get their ideas, because with everything that is going on, small groups of people can do a lot more than, yeah, you can start the conversation at town meeting, but it's going to take grassroots efforts. And I'd just like to hear from the consultant, if they did that, if we're going to hire the guy from Berkshire, let's just put it out. Because I'm very concerned about what the two Debs are saying. Why? What is it? We need to sit in small groups and let people be honest and have these honest conversations. Are they getting misinformation? Are they afraid of something? We need to really start listening to what's going on out there.
Mhm.
Agreed.
So that's why I'd like to hear before we go out and do our own thing, I'd like to hear from an expert on this. I
So
know
are you,
what's happening in my world. Everyone is talking about having powerful conversations and laying things out, like what is really going on. Because then rumors start.
we could have, I don't want to interrupt you. Did you have another point, Michelle?
No.
So we could have Jake perhaps attend our next meeting and talk about the successes and failures, or what they might do differently, what could work. That might be really helpful. Greg, what are your thoughts? You're on mute.
I do have a number. I just was a number of thoughts, but it was brought to my awareness that the Great River might have been actually what the English colonists used to call the Connecticut River. So it didn't seem to be the indigenous, but I don't know. We might want to do some digging into that before we, commit wholly to that.
And on this last point we were talking about,
You were talking about, again, refresh my memory because I was looking at that at the moment.
we were talking about potentially having Jake attend our meeting and talk about what would work and what didn't work and what he
Well, he's
learned.
and he's very personable. I mean, and he would be a sort of neutral party to deliver, whatever messaging that we're trying to convey. Um, and he's got a very good understanding of regionalization. So, I think it would be a good idea. Um,
Okay, Pat?
I think I think I'm still, no,
No,
I'm
no,
not
you're
muted.
good. We can hear you.
I think the crux of the thing is people don't want to volunteer for anything. And how we get around that, I'm not sure. But I think I mean, no matter, we're down, you said a couple people on this committee. People can't find people to run for school committee, for select boards, for finance committees, for anything within town. People just aren't volunteering. And I don't know why that is, and whether somebody else can come in from the outside and say, okay, this is what we have to do to fix it. I don't know.
Yeah,
So that's my 10 cents worth.
yeah. So the benefit would be, he's telling us what works, what didn't work, what they didn't do, which they wish they had done. What is not a good idea, what might you want to avoid, things of that nature. So we could have a conversation with him about, how would he go about leading us if he were to be, doing this again.
He also was a teacher, and I believe
Superintendent, right?
definitely a superintendent. So, it's not like he is and has a PhD in education. So,
All right, I'll reach out to him. I think that's kind of the consensus of the group, is to see if we can get him to talk to us for a little bit on one of the agendas. Deb?
I think you're
Sorry,
Brenda.
I don't know how to raise my hand.
Brenda has her
That
hand up.
works.
Greg is right. I just unfortunately, did the AI on the phone, and the Great River was the name that the English settlers used. In the 1630s, the Dutch explorer used the Great River, and the indigenous people called it the Quinnetucket.
Mm.
So that could be. I just wanted to fact check Greg there. He was right. I'm not that Google is right, but
But you want to sleep on it? We'll leave it stand. I won't let.
Well, I wasn't right, Deb. Someone brought it to my attention.
oh.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, and when people suggested that name to us, they said it was the name that the indigenous people, so we didn't fact check. We jumped on it and went, great. And lesson learned.
So we can sleep on it and come back and talk about it again. And potentially we know we want river in it. That's pretty clear. We know the end of it. We need something in front of it. So, Dorinda, you have your hand up.
Yep. It looks like it translated to Long River. So Great River was like a mistranslation, but so maybe Long River would honor it better. I was wondering, for Berkshire, did that pass in some of the towns or not pass in any of the towns?
Yeah, it definitely passed in majority of the towns. It's just I think there was 1 or 2 towns out of the 8 that did not, it did not pass.
And they had another issue, Dorinda, you probably know about that they had to deal with. They were trying to get in the pipeline for a building project. And so there was this rushed timeline to get this agreement together and get it out there. I think that's one of the things he'll probably tell us not to do. And then the towns would all be responsible for this new high school.
It wasn't they were trying, they were in the pipeline.
Okay, they were in it.
They were in it,
yeah.
and they had to decide how big the building was going to be, whether it was going to be for 8 towns or for the existing district.
So I know that factored in to a couple of towns are saying, no, we don't want to take that on. So maybe if that wasn't in the mix, who knows? So, all right, I think we're getting ready to adjourn.
I just want to go back to the Great River. Yes, I did read this. It wasn't that I didn't do any research. The word Connecticut is a corruption of the Mohegan word Quintucket and Nipmuc word Quinnetequ, which means beside the long tidal river. The word came into English usage during the early 1600s to name the river, which is also called simply the Great River. I don't have any kind of issues, and I feel like I'm a pretty woke person. I just think it's an inspiring word as opposed to Long River, which I think could be considered. I just think there's a little problematic stuff with that. The word long.
No one likes long meetings, that's for sure.
So I still am totally comfortable with this, believe it or not.
Yeah, and I don't know why this couldn't stand on its own. I mean, because some people can try to attach it to many different things of what it might mean. So,
Alan, I tossed that out because obviously Turner's Falls and Gil Montague went through a very long, tedious, divisive naming of their mascot. And so I wouldn't want that to, I don't know, get off the rails of what the real mission is. But after hearing Deb say that, I go, you know what, it's good. And we have a justification. And truthfully, I don't think people care about the name of the school district. They're going to care about the name of the high school. Then it's not going to be about the name. And I think it's a good name, Deb.
I do too. I was just pointing something out.
All right, so I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say this. In order to rescind, someone in the affirmative that voted would have to make a motion to rescind. And then we would go through a vote on that. So if anyone has that feeling, I guess I would say do it now or forever hold your peace.
Well, or it could be, our next meeting, whenever that is, it could be voted to rescind. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but we can think on it. But I take Deb's point. I think that she's just because the colonials used it doesn't necessarily mean it was used in a bad way either. So
All right, so let me go back to what I started to say a while ago, which is we can just sleep on it, let it marinate until the next meeting, and then I'll put it on the agenda and we can affirm it or have another discussion. Are people comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we've got to start moving things along. There's I just threw out some dates in May to get the ball moving. And it'd be nice if we had a couple so that we could give Jake an opportunity to see which one he could make. So I threw out May, which I spelled small m, May 13th, May 20th, the 21st, 27th, my birthday. Does someone have one there that they want to throw out there that we can people make the 13th, or is that too?
I
That's
can't
probably
make
too
the
soon.
13th at all.
Yeah, that's probably too soon. How about
I
the
have a conflict.
okay? How about the 20th?
That's open.
Okay,
I
Tuesday the
can't make the
20th.
20th, but that's all right.
Anyone else not make it? All right,
Yeah,
and Raina, I
can't
can
make
fill
the
you in
20th.
too. The 20th, who else?
Me, Pat.
Pat, sure.
Yeah, Pat.
Alan, can you hear?
Yeah. So that's two that can't.
Yeah.
We have a couple that aren't here.
I mean, I would say go with that, and then we can reach out to the rest of the board and see if we can, to those that aren't here, see if we can get a quorum.
All right. So why don't we do that? I do want to sort of bring something to your attention. We have a member that has been very active and very helpful on this committee, who has also served in the Pioneer District and on the Pioneer School Committee. I was just informed today that Karen O'Neill's husband, Paul, has passed away on this past Thursday. And so I asked, I talked to Michelle about this and said, do people know that? And Michelle, you indicated that, people are being informed. It was
Yes.
okay to tell other people. So I wanted to get her read on that before I shared it. But I know many of you have been working with her closely, particularly you, Pat. And so I did want to bring that to your attention if you would like to reach out. And Raina, you probably knew that, but if you hadn't had a chance to share that with folks, she's a remarkable person and very involved in her community and politics, and her husband and her did lots of things together. And I learned today that her daughter and her husband Paul were really looking forward to the child coming up soon, and just there's so many facets to this that it's sad. So I just want to pass that on. Okay. All right. Is there any other business that would come before us? All right. Would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, that's
I'll second it.
Michelle. And seconded by who?
Pat.
Yeah.
By Pat. Okay, motion to adjourn, and that would be by roll call vote. Deb Bloomer
Yes.
and Alan Genovese is yes. Greg
Yes.
and Dorinda
Yes.
and Raina.
Yes.
And I think, oh, I see. So Mike is here, Chris is here. I see Tupper's here as well. Don't know when.
I agree.
Thank
Did
you.
Mike, hey, Alan, you might want to
Yeah.
ask if Chris and Mike have any questions.
Yeah. Did I finish the roll call vote?
No,
Okay.
I say
Michelle,
yes.
yes.
Okay, let me pause. Chris or Mike, do you have any questions?
Hey, I'm good right now, but I might give you a call tomorrow. I figure it might be good just, get general updates here. I know we kind of fallen asleep at the wheel, maybe, or dropped the ball, whatever you want to call it. Just want to get some sort of update on where things stand, all that sort of stuff. So
Okay.
I can do that.
It's been a work in progress, and I
Yeah.
also heard, I think Mike said that he's having trouble with his mic, so he'll reach offline when he has an opportunity to as well.
Yeah.
All right,
I'll reach
so-
tomorrow, but thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you. Greg, thanks for that. Did you actually say yes, Greg? Is that where I left
I
off?
did. No, I said yes a while ago.
Okay, and Dorinda, you said yes, and Bill, I don't remember you.
Yes.
And Michelle
Yes.
and Deborah Pote,
Yes.
and thank you, Pat
Yes.
and Raina. And we got everybody. So enjoy the rest of your evening. I think the Celtics are on tonight for those of you that
Mhm.
watch, and let's see how that goes. All right, thanks for participating. Much appreciated. Take
Right.
care.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Oh, Cliff Spatcher just entered the room.